So okay, let's take me as an example. Fantasy. Okay, as a little girl, I
Keep it.
yeah, it's not gonna be
PG.
embarrassing for anybody. Okay, 'cause
PG. Okay.
PG. I
PG
was
13 though. PG 13, not just PG.
PG
Yeah.
13.
13.
Well, I thought that all men looked like either Christopher Reeve, Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, or
Chewbacca.
no, not Chewbacca. Um, and then of course, when I grew up, they didn't look like that, and yeah.
Yes.
So I just want to ask you guys: did you guys think that all women would look like cheerleaders or Charlie's Angels, or do you have
Yeah.
these fixed ideas?
I had the idea of the blonde um, cheerleader girl, but I didn't think that all women were going to be that way. I mean, that's like an idea, an imprint that came to my mind when I was somewhat younger. So,
You know, I think it was more like the Hawaiian Tropic Bikini Team.
well, I mean, I'm not denying that one, Jeff.
So what happens then when you meet these real people and then they just like they're just probably gorgeous as well, but they are maybe less sexy or charismatic as Han Solo or Christopher Reeve, Superman.
I just keep coming back to this idea. It's like the more a person's able to have expectations that meet reality. That's the game, right? Like the more people have expectations that reality doesn't meet, the more pain they're gonna have. I mean, that's like what
You can say that again.
like
That's like a golden rule.
that's what I yeah. I mean, that's what most of what I do is built upon, right? And especially if people are masturbating. Um, by the way, masturbation.
I'd like a definition of that word, please.
It's not what you
Masturbation
think.
Yeah, masturbation is really, when people use the word must, it's taken from the work of Albert Ellis. When people have these musts about a fantasy, that's even, in my experience, that's even like more, you know, like when the reality doesn't match it. There's usually a lot of tears and, the whole water thing coming out from crevices and places.
So now I want to ask a very private question, and I'm not going to show this to your clients, but okay, who are more unrealistic? Is it your female clients or your male clients? So who is more hanging on to these fantasies that are not going to do them any good, ratio wise? You probably have a sense of it.
That's a great question. I've never thought.
That's a very interesting question.
Yes.
I would have to spend some time researching that.
No, I want answers
the
now.
reality is I don't know off the top of my head. But here's what's interesting.
Yeah.
Both of them have incredible, I would say, rigidity. Rigidity.
And that's the thing, right? The more rigid they are, the more pain. I mean, that's why they come to coaching, because they're rigid in their thinking patterns.
Yeah. I also want to say this, some of these challenges do start with the wedding, which I mentioned a little bit ago. So if you look back at what does every woman want? What does she dream about? The white wedding, right? This huge wedding, and she plans, and there's all this stuff with her girlfriends. They pick out the dress, and they go get the cake, and they do all this stuff. Right? And the colors, these wonderful bridesmaids dresses, they're so beautiful, right? So then what happens? After that, this is the highlight that she's been looking forward to all her life. Then what happens? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I can see something happen.
I just saw. So then what happens? The highlight. That's the highlight.
Right.
How
I
do
mean,
you
what is
top
the highlight? I mean, if that's the highlight, then
Okay,
that's the highlight.
okay. Please fill me in. What is the highlight for the men when they get married, or when they get into a relationship?
Sex.
Well, it depends on the man and where the man is in his path. For me, it's the evolution of what's possible between two people. If you ask high-level relationships where people are thriving, not where they're just getting along or they're, comfortable with each other, but where the relationship is really thriving. Every aspect of it gets better. The sex, the friendship, the depth of feeling and connectedness with each other. All that's real,
and
very real.
And this is interesting to me because when Jeff is talking about this realness, it's like, let's say there are these expectations that people have differently about what should be. Like working that out and having a commitment towards the relationship is what deepens the relationship in my experience. Mm-hmm. So let's say people are having these different expectations, but that is the goal to mine for more depth through time. So I think even there's value in the expectations at some level.
So when would you say when a couple have like very opposite expectations, so how do you get them to meet each other? And do you see any differences between the sexes there? Like, are there like universal qualities of the feminine desire or the feminine longing and that of the man? Like, for instance, the human needs they have, or certain patterns that seem to, come back irrelevant of the couple?
Actually, this is an interesting question, and I've had a recent discovery that I want to, maybe we'll talk a little bit about polarity, this masculine and feminine energy phenomenon that goes on. And in my practice, I see a complete shift of energy in the female to becoming more masculine. And I also see behaviors that are traditionally masculine. For example, women leaving the husband and children, which is a new phenomenon for me to experience. So I've got 2 clients where the wife has left the children and husband. And, sometimes that happens where the man leaves the family. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's happened in the past where the woman has done that. But I think it's probably more pronounced today, where women are looking for freedom or looking to find themselves, or this or fantasy that they thought, they get the house, they get the kids, they get the picket fence, and now they're miserable.
It sounds like that movie Eat, Love, Pray, Eat, Love, or something. Eat, Love, and Pray. Yeah. So some of that comes from this shift energetically, and where it is possible economically, it is possible for a woman to leave right now, right? And economically,
sure. That's right. Absolutely.
And we're not that dependent anymore. But and for men, I mean, apart from the leaving, I mean, if they do try and get to work it out, where do you see that the men's desire is most not met because of the women's fantasy, for instance? Where can we as women put our hands on our heart, say, we are accountable for that?
I think appreciating their man, I mean, and just showing that that they appreciate what the man has brought and what he's been up to and what he's been doing. One of the things that I think about a lot, and it's how awesome people react and respond to positive reinforcement. It's just how people are wired in my experience. So just appreciating even the little things begins to magnify those aspects of how people are operating. So yeah, appreciating. That's a big one for dudes. So
how do we do it? But how do we do it? Like, do we say, "Oh my God, your shirt is amazing," or "Oh my God, you're the sexiest man in London"?
Yeah, like that
really.
"Oh my God, you're better looking than Ryan Gosling"?
Here's the biggest. Martin is right. I see and hear this continuously from the men in my practice and my male friends who are married. There's a slight level of resentment for working so hard to provide for the family, even when the wife works. It's expected. There's never been a thank you or an acknowledgement of all the hard work and sacrifice that they put into their career to provide for the family. Mm. And that's a real issue. Saying their shirt looks nice is not going to do it.
No?
And it's nice.
See, but a woman would say that. A woman would say that, and a woman would be like, "Oh my God, my shirt looks nice, oh, my hair looks nice," and this is how a woman would pay, So that's where the miscommunication comes in.
You know what? I mean,
you have a nice butt, right? We'll say that to a woman, like, "Oh my God, you look so sexy," or.
Well, that's kind of nice.
Okay,
that's
I'll
kinda
keep
nice
that
for
one.
me, at
I'll
least.
keep that one.
You know what though? The appreciation for the man's purpose. I mean, at
Okay.
least for me, that's like drugs right there.
Do you want me to edit it out? Maybe you want to pay me so I edit this out of the video.
No, that's all good. I mean, I don't do drugs. I'm saying it's like a drug in my system. It really lights me up. You know.
And what
that-
is it
that
for you,
appreciation
Jeff?
for my
Is it
purpose.
similar? Like appreciation for your purpose, like your vision, which is like the very masculine thing?
Well, there's a big part of that, sure. There's also little things like, thank you for all the work you do for us. Thank you for
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
For buying dinner tonight. Thank you for providing X, Y, and Z. Thank you for the sacrifice you make. Thank you for being there for me. Thank you for listening to me, even when I'm emotional. Thank you for...
I'm feeling already happy, Jeffy. All
Yeah.
these thank yous.
Right. See, it's these little thank yous. I appreciate you so much, honey. I love you, and I really appreciate you. Right? But this is a thing that really will inspire men to be their best.
And now I'm gonna say something, okay? I've read enough books about, men do not, women don't expect your man to read your mind. If you want that appreciation, why don't you ask for it?
Do guys ask for anything? Not much.
Yeah, exactly.
So we have
mean,
to read your
it-
minds?
It's
We're simple.
I
We're
can't
not so
speak for all guys,
complicated.
right? I can't speak
Yeah.
for all guys, but I'm saying I would say most guys that I know and most people don't operate by thinking that way. They just haven't had that education, right? Like the
Yeah.
education of the importance of that. It's so
Yeah.
easy to miscommunicate just normally, especially and bring emotions and stuff like that. Then the miscommunication begins to be even more. So you know what I mean?
There's another element involved as well. From the male's mindset is if we have to have a conversation about appreciating me, then it becomes not so real.
Oh,
Right.
because it's not voluntarily. Yeah.
got it.
The same with women. If we have to like ask you, didn't you notice I went to the hairdresser today?
Right?
Didn't you
Right.
notice I lost like 10 kilos? Things like that. Didn't you
But you know
notice
what?
my breast enlargement? Things like that. It's like,
Well,
hey.
I think I would notice that. Hopefully, I mean, if the guy is not noticing that, I think you should probably look for another guy.
Okay. I'm just kidding. I'm just making it a bit like,
I love
He
it.
knows. He
I love
likes it.
it.